Once upon a time, two boys grew up playing hockey in the village of Terrace, British Columbia. One of them went on to play in the National Hockey League. The other became a comedian. Now, one flies planes and coaches youth hockey. The other is still a comedian and owns news skates. This is their podcast, Enjoying Orange Slices with Jeff and Ian.
Hello, Jeff Sharples. My name is Ian Bagg. The show is called Enjoying Orange Slices with Jeff and Ian. Hockey is going nuts. The scoring is out of control. Tough to decide who's going to take this whole Stanley Cup home. How are you?
I'm good, Lord Bagg. Yeah, it's really interesting. The first round was crazy, and the second round now is crazier. But, I mean, some of these games seem to be decided in the first period now. Like Edmonton basically ran away from Vegas the other night. New Jersey ran away from Carolina. Carolina ran away from New Jersey in Carolina. It was nuts. And then Seattle ran away from once Heiskanen went down, they ran away from Dallas. So that was in the second period. But yeah, crazy.
Yeah, it's
we didn't even talk about Toronto.
Toronto, that's the only one that's kind of old school back and forth, right? And it's just Toronto's. You know what? You know what's driving me nuts with Toronto? The stretch passes that they just try so much. It's just like they're so good in the offensive zone, but I don't know. I'm not going to shut up. I want you to drive me insane. I think you're on mute. You're on mute.
Sorry. I muted.
Come on, Grandpa. You put yourself on mute.
I had to cough, so I had to, and then I just muted myself right out of the show. And before it even started, mind you. The puck decisions in the Toronto series are they're just not making good ones. And here's the thing about Toronto, Florida. I think Florida built their team to compete with Tampa. Toronto just beat Tampa, so you don't have quite the real high-end top six forwards that Tampa has, like a Kucherov, Point. But, obviously you got Kachuk and these other guys. But Florida, I think, is a little deeper on their bottom six and their forwards. And their D are just doing what they need to do. Probably D's probably a touch better than Tampa's was with the injuries Tampa had. But,
yeah, it was just 2 years ago. Tampa and Florida were in the second round, right? Wasn't that just 2 years ago?
I mean, Florida's basically built their team to compete and
got to get by Tampa.
So Toronto just beat Tampa, and Trev. I saw Trev for coffee when I was up north. So, but he brought up a good point. Toronto just doesn't want to make the easy play, and you would think.
I'm saying about the stretch passes is just
just crazy. And you're not going to toe drag a guy in the playoffs. You're not going to pull a puck around him. You might do 1 out of 50, right? So I don't really like your odds. These guys are so dialed into what's going on right now. And but yeah, the decisions Toronto's making with the puck, that you got to simplify in the playoffs, because there's so much emotion, and the ebbs and flows are like, the momentum swings are massive. So just keep yourself in a good spot.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. That's it. We used to call it the KISS theory, right? Keep it simple, stupid. And that's what every practice someone would tell me that. And I'd be like, okay, so you want it off the glass, no problem. And then I have a guy like Barzy or Otzi just staring at me because they want it off the glass. Those guys don't want, Stevie Yzerman doesn't want it off the glass. They want it tape to tape. And so what ends up happening in Toronto is these guys are thinking, if I can get it to Nylander, I can get it to Matthews, Tavares, O'Reilly, Matthews, if I can get it to them tape to tape, we're in business. But usually when you're trying to do stretch passes, it's going through some part of the middle of the ice, and Florida's all over it. So
yeah, Florida's a good team, and the pieces they picked up or made them even better. So yeah, I don't know, man. They kind of remind me of the Kings, and when they just got in and then they won the Stanley Cup.
Yep.
Kind of got that grit to them, built kind of like them, and playing for their lives every game since February.
And a similar kind of goalie, Bobrovsky's a little bit like quick, very athletic. Plays a little bit lower.
Very animated.
A lot of these big 6'5" goalies do now. And then you got to give Daryl pulled all the right strings with the Kings when they were winning those cups, but you got to give Maurice credit. He's got Toronto on the brink, and they're one game away from being in the Final Four, which nobody saw coming. But Reinhart was talking about it after he scored the winner the other night. He goes, "We were kind of playing in the playoffs just about all year. We were just trying to survive." So their game had to evolve. Toronto's game and Tampa's games never really had to evolve because they knew they were playing each other all year. And
Boston's game.
Boston never, I watched them. They went up and played Calgary one night, and Calgary was all over them. And somehow Boston pulled it out in the end. Just was the kind of season they had. And then now, come playoff time, a couple of those breaks go against you, and you have a hard time recalibrating.
That's right. By the way, our guest today is Aaron Teets. He is the president of hockey. No, he's the president of the Anaheim Ducks. Anaheim Ducks. Geez, that was tough to get out. He is the president of the Ducks, and he is on our silly show. So I don't know. I guess we're doing pretty good.
I was just thinking, like, we got Aaron coming on, and I don't know how often other people have or you ever get a president on, but we got a president on today.
We got a president.
We got the president.
We have the president on, and it's a big day for them. We pick who the lottery happens for the draft, and they could end up 1, 2, or 3. This section is brought to you by the Janie Daniels Foundation. Save the date. It's the roast and toast of Thomas Holstrom and Nicholas Lindstrom on August 24th in Detroit at the Motor City Casino, Grand River Avenue, Detroit, and it's Saturday night, August 26th. Will they be roasting Thomas Holstrom, and they'll be toasting Nicholas Lindstrom. I will be one of the acts on that show, and I'm pretty sure it'll be roasting of everybody. A lot of fun. There'll be other people there. If you're a hockey fan and you're in the Detroit area, drop by. It's for a great thing, a great foundation, Jamie Daniels Foundation. And they are sponsoring today's shoe. So we should do you want to go right to the interview, or you want to talk? Well, yeah, we'll talk about it. Let's go to the interview.
Yeah, let's go.
Our guest today is the president of the Anaheim Ducks, not Mighty Ducks, just Ducks. It's a big day for him. We're going to find out who's going to be drafting number 1. Please welcome Aaron Teets. Hey, Aaron, how are you?
I'm doing good. Like you said, big day for us today, but happy to be here.
Thank you for joining us. So do you guys, are you nervous? Are you excited? Are you scared, or what are you thinking?
Definitely excited is probably it. The good thing is I kind of feel like we're playing a little bit with house money here. We know at the end of the lottery today that we have a top 3 pick in what looks to be a very strong draft. Certainly Connor Bedard has stolen the headlines, justifiably so, but there's great talent at the top of this draft, and knowing that regardless of what happens today, we're going to have a top 3 pick in this draft, but perhaps you got a 25% chance of taking the number 1 spot, and that could be very exciting as well. So not really nervous, but I am excited about it.
You can't, there's no losing for you guys today. The top 3 are strong no matter what. And it's crazy how that's happening now more and more. It's kind of changing NFL style where guys are ready to go. Does that change your whole operations because it is like that?
No, I wouldn't say that changes the whole operations. I think, the thought that, and again, Pat Verbeek is our guy that's kind of forwarding all the initiatives here for us on the player side of things. But, he's a hardworking guy and a guy that believes in building through the draft and going with the process and keeping it going. So I think he is a guy that is going to always stick with his process. And is not going to necessarily be swayed by any individual or a strong draft, weak draft, or whatnot. And I think the way that he builds a team from the bottom up, I probably won't really deviate all that much.
Nice.
Hey, Aaron, so let's talk about Pat Verbeek for a second. He played a long, long time. I played against Pat, and he was just a super gritty player. He spent time in the Detroit organization. He's come out to you guys now, and just talk about your interactions with the general manager, because you're the president of the hockey or the business side of it. How do you guys interact? Say as you're getting ready for a day like today, where the ball's got you really looking forward to it dropping your way, but then after that happens, you guys are still trying to put this thing together and get it into motion. How much interaction during a day or a week do you have with Pat?
Yeah, so we talk most days. We'd like to update each other on whatnot. We have a pretty good relationship on understanding our process and who's working with what. He obviously oversees all the player side of things. I am in on the business side of things, and also as it relates to the financial portions of the team as well, I'm also in with that. But it's all integrated. So it's been great. You know, what you know of Pat and what you began to describe there, I heard a lot as we were interviewing potential candidates, the little ball of hate, and I love the nickname that he's had, and I can see exactly now how he received that nickname as a player, because those same hardworking attributes and that grit that he has is obvious. Obviously, he doesn't have the ball of hate necessarily now, but he's a hardworking individual. He expects that of all of his staff and all of the players underneath him. And what you see is what you get with Pat. Hardworking guy, very resilient, and a guy that really wants a strong work ethic with everybody that surrounds him. So we have a great relationship. We talk about the integrations of the business side and the hockey side all the time. And like I said, we talk more days than we don't, just on all the different goings-ons back and forth.
Nice. I'm going to take it back a little bit. I want to know how a fella like you ends up president of the Ducks. And I'm not saying anything bad, but I know that your background is not hockey, right?
You know what? I started at the baseball side. My first integration was with the Angels.
Mm-hmm.
And I did come on the production side. So I was producing and directing for 11 years, telecasts and whatnot. So when Disney, which at the time owned both teams, I came in, I started working with the Ducks in their second season in 1994. And I at the time was working also with the Angels. And later on down the line, Disney divested itself of the sports interests. And there were a few of us that really got to determine the path, hockey or baseball. And I decided to stay hockey. I loved it. I loved working with the athletes of hockey. I love the work ethic and the humble beginnings of hockey. And it just really appealed to me. And so I made the decision at that time, because they afforded me and allowed me to do so, to stay with the hockey side. And Henry and Susan Samueli bought the team from Disney in 2005. I'm sorry, and 2005. And it was right at the end of the lockout, if you can recall. And it has been absolutely phenomenal. I couldn't ask for anything more. They are as terrific of owners and of people that you can find in professional sports today. So it's been a good ride. As I kind of took myself out of the production realm, started to take on more and more of the business assets. And I've always had a real thirst and knowledge of understanding from a production side of things, what we were talking about, why we were talking about, the business integrations that are behind that. And we started just to kind of build this whole thing together. So it's right at 29 years for me here with the Ducks, and couldn't have been a better, a more, I will say, stroke of luck to be connected with this organization and this current ownership group. Just beyond fortunate to be here.
Good for you for picking hockey over baseball.
That's my kind of leads into my next question. So you got the A's next door. The Angels next door.
Yep.
The A's are coming here to Vegas, I guess. But the Angels are next door. You've got a huge population base down in Southern California to draw from, but you also have a lot of competition. You're on the business side of it. What are some of the things that you found from the baseball side, moving to the hockey side, or just in general, initiatives that you're trying to push out there to get more people into the building, excited about Anaheim Ducks hockey? Obviously, today's a huge day because you're going to get the top 3 in the draft, and you can run that out there. Obviously, Bedard's the headliner, but these other kids are going to be going to drive a lot of excitement in your fan base. So, what are kind of some of the initiatives or that you're going to try and that you're working on or have been working on, and what are some of the kind of the pain points as far as trying to get the brand out in the Southern California area, because there is so much competition, there is so much going on?
No question. The Southern California is a phenomenal place for sports, and it's an underrated sports network that's out here. But you're right, there is a lot of fans in the marketplace, but just as many teams. So if you're looking for baseball or hockey or now football is back and whatever, it is very hard, and it is hard to get your piece of the pie. And I think if you look at kind of the stereotypical landscape of the Southern California fan, they have so many options and what to do with their discretionary time and their discretionary money. All the things that we talk about in sports, but you also have the beach, you also have the mountains, all these things that you have to contend with. So I've always thought that this is a market where you need to win. You need to be a team that has success on the ice or on the court or on the field, or the discretionary spend will meander away. It's not going to be these huge peaks and valleys, but we have a terrific what we call our Orange Alliance members that stick with you. They're your core. They're always going to be there. But what do you need to do to make sure that you keep an engagement and get your piece of that Southern California landscape is very difficult. What we have found and what we're really leaning in heavy to here is we want to make sure that the guest experience supersedes everything. If you want to have a terrific sporting experience, it's here for you. But in the event, and as we are kind of coming through and hopefully coming out of this rebuild here in a strong way, we'd like to think that when you come to Honda Center and you experience Ducks hockey, regardless of the score, win or lose, we'd like to think that you had a great experience here, and we want to lean into that very heavy. And we find that that's very effective. And certainly the wind will be in your sails when the team comes back and the winds start coming.
Absolutely. Question about your building. I wanted, because we have people that don't live in Southern California that know how to get to your building. So your building is in Anaheim, Lower Anaheim, right? Across from Angel Stadium. What would you guys be building a new building at some point, or will you be renovating your building? How does what is there something else that drags people around there other than baseball and hockey? Because I've been around that area, and it's kind of, it reminds me a little bit of the buildings that are not in town, right? They're a little bit out of town. So
yeah. Well, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that now, Ian, is that we're embarking on, and we're about to break ground within a couple months here of a new development, about a $4 billion development called OC Vibe. And this will be a phenomenal experience, and it will build a downtown to Orange County that it's never had before, making it a destination place. There's going to be a brand new performance theater, a 6,000 seater that will sit just to the west of Honda Center. There's going to be clubs and restaurants and whatnot. So you're right. Orange County has needed that sense of cool and that place to be for many, many years. And we believe that OC Vibe is going to be that. And in the heart of that is our building, Honda Center. So there isn't plans to knock down Honda Center and build a new Honda Center. We know what land is like in Southern California here, but
cheap.
The one thing about our owners is they are very, very invested in the community. They are invested in Honda Center as a community landmark, and they will continue to invest to make sure that the infrastructure of Honda Center is top notch. So not unlike the model that Madison Square Garden has, where you have to continue to renovate in the footprint that you have. That's kind of at least our mindset early on, is that Honda Center will remain and this phenomenal district will be built all around it. So we're really excited about that. And by I would say 26, 27, and you're going to come here and you're going to not recognize what you described a moment ago.
Really? That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Will there be, is there public transportation that gets in there? Is there trains that get in there right now?
Yes, right just to the south and on the south edge of what will be OC Vibe is the Arctic, and it is a train station, a public a transportation facility that we actually own the management rights to run. So it's going to be every bit a part of what you just described, and making sure that our public transportation options are diverse and bringing people right into the district and Honda Center to come see your favorite team or a concert or whatnot. So very exciting, and looking forward to that.
The reason I bring it up is, sorry, Jeff, the reason I bring it up because I think it's a great Southern California. I think the whole California, Phoenix, Nevada is a great hockey trip for people to do, like that are out not in this area, and going LA Kings, Ducks, doing that whole trip, I think is a worthwhile hockey adventure. So that's why I brought it up. But that sounds even more fun that you can just party your face off afterwards.
No, you'll have plenty of options, Ian, to keep you hydrated and entertained.
Keep you dehydrated by the sound of it.
day 2 dehydration, maybe.
And Aaron, that's kind of the way it's going now. Like it's the entertainment part of the business. I mean, years ago, Ian and I both grew up in Canada, and of course we were going to the hockey game, but now it's an event and it's entertainment. And so you kind of explained a little bit, I think, about what you do in a day with that project coming on, but maybe walk us through a day in the life of what you do as president of business operations for the Anaheim Ducks. How does a week?
President Jeff. He's not business. He's just the president.
Sorry, president. I got to just.
It's quite okay.
Yeah, but I'm trying to get the question on the business side because that's where I think you live most of the time. What does a day or a week look like? Like obviously today is a big day. Everybody's kind of get the butterflies hoping for the best, but knowing that you're going to do really well. Walk us through a normal day to kind of week of how, you've got this huge $4 billion project, but you've got so many other things going on too.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that I'm clear. I'm not responsible for the project. We have an entire development team that's building that, but the integrations are plentiful. We talk all the time. We're all in the same meeting rooms every week and whatnot as they build that out. But I guess to some degree it depends on where we are in the season. But you use today, so I would tell you where we are in a snapshot of the Anaheim Ducks in April and in the middle of a rebuild. Right now, we're doing a pretty intense retrospective of all of the goings-ons that we've had in the prior season, what worked, what didn't work, with an eye on that guest experience that we talked about before. This is the type of year, that you start to budget build and start to come up with your formulations of promotions. And so what we'll do this week is we'll be meeting with all the vice presidents and getting together and starting to lay out those business strategies for promotion. What does that look like from a budgeting aspect? All of those budgets in relatively short order within the next 10 days will be taken to ownership. So we'll talk to the owner, Henry Samueli, and let him know of those business integrations and what we're going to need for the capital expenditures, like we talked about, to make sure that Honda Center and the surrounding area stays relevant, but also what do we need to make sure that we're building into that guest experience. So that's kind of the snapshot. We'll have that build here, and those discussions are probably what you're going to see the vast majority of here in the next I would say 30 to 60 days are really taking a very deep dive into the things that were put into place with the thought of how do we improve and make sure that our guest experience is top notch.
Very nice. What do you guys do? Like, do you guys have a plan? I don't know, not a plan. Do you guys, how do you keep your, sorry, let me start this again because I'm an idiot. The community, you still need to build the community, right? Your hockey community. How do you guys are you involved in minor hockey in the Anaheim, Orange County area, or what do you guys do to make sure that you always have another oh my goodness, I am blanking for words. I'm probably gonna have to go to the doctor right after this. So you're looking for a new generation of hockey fan coming up.
Yeah.
What how do you guys build that? What do you do?
Well, the one thing, if you know anything about our ownership, they're very passionate in a couple of areas, and one is being a true community partner. So they're very philanthropic, and what we do is we'll use the platform of professional sports to enrich the lives of everybody in Orange County. That's very, very important to them. Another aspect of that is to build hockey in the Southern California area. So we have programs. We own and operate 8 rinks in Southern California where we have learn to play programs. So we want to that feeder system that you were talking about, Ian, so eloquently. We want to make sure that that we have a solution for the very first time that a child puts on skates, all the way up until they're playing into their high school or going into a junior program. So so you'll see that a lot. With several years ago, we started a high school hockey league. I got to give Mike Shulman, our chairman, credit for this. We literally started a high school hockey league from scratch and had one team that was playing and traveling and trying to make it work and whatnot. And now that has grown to, we're going to probably have 60 teams in Southern California area as well, competing for that. So you're exactly right. It makes sense to make sure that you're committing to the youth and that grassroots programming. So there's a solution for kids to play what we think is the best sport around, all the way up until they make a decision not to, or they run into a spot where they're just not good enough to get to that next level. But we have in-school programs with local area schools where we have what's called our SCORE initiative. It's Scholastic Curriculum of Reading and Education. So it's half classroom based and half PE based, and the PE based is teaching the kids hockey in Southern California, largely through street hockey, but then moving them right into an opportunity to come in and for free do a learn to play program too as well. So it's very, very big. It's very, very relevant. It's very necessary to make sure your grassroots continue to turn themselves over and create hockey fans in Southern California. But as you've seen, we've had kids now coming from the Southern California area and trained and in with the junior Ducks programs that are now playing in the NHL. So it's very exciting.
Nice.
Hey, Aaron, I just want to I have a question about the amount of kids, and you see it, I'm in Vegas. You see it in Vegas now too with the Knights. I see it down there with you guys. We were down for the rookie camp, Ian and I, a couple of years ago, that was in your brand new practice facility and just beautiful. There's so many kids in these centers, and Phoenix is another one, that's got a ton of these kids. So they, like you said, you started with nothing with high school, one team, and now it's just ballooned. But then, you've got your American League team down in San Diego. And so, but coming out of high school, I said, Ian, and I don't know, what you think about if there's room for junior leagues or where that goes in Southern California, but we're going to have all these kids coming in SoCal, in Southern Nevada, in Arizona, in these big centers. But where are they going to go after they play high school? And I just wonder, as you guys, the junior Ducks, that's a big deal. The junior Knights, these are big deals to these kids and these families and communities. Do you see the possibility of not so much maybe the Ducks having a team in it, but do you see the possibility of maybe more of a junior league kind of sprouting in Southern California? And so these kids have a place to play. Like, you're talking about a huge influx, but where do they go after a certain point?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's something that we've talked about and we've been talking about with the NHL, the USHL, and that's being talked about in earnest as we speak. We had a couple meetings last month about this very thing, where we would love to see something on the West Coast where there's an option for kids after high school where they don't have to go back east, or they don't have to go and be billeted up with the junior program up in Canada somewhere. We think there's enough talent out here in the market to sustain a Western league. And so that's something that we're looking to formulate and put together. I don't want to speak too much ahead of things, but it is absolutely being talked about, and we see things the exact same way you just described. Is we want to make sure that kids have an option as teenagers to stay at home and play in these junior programs rather than going back east. There's nothing, and this is not to throw shade on anything on the programs. They're back east; they're phenomenal. But we see the talent here in Southern California. We'd like to see it stay in the region.
Yeah, it would be great to see that kid grow up in Southern California and then end up with a Anaheim Ducks jersey on one day. I mean, or he could end up anywhere, but the opportunity and the resources there to help them grow as people and as hockey players is huge. One other question, I'm going to move. I know we don't have you forever here. I have a question getting back to the NHL. On the scheduling, some of your greatest rivals, obviously you got the one rival just up the street there in the Kings. You guys used to play each other a little bit more. Now you play each other 4 times a year, Vegas 4 times a year, 2 and 2. San Jose is another one. Would you like to see the opportunity to be able to play each other a little bit more? Because I know there was a complaint with Calgary and Edmonton. I think they only ended up playing each other 3 times. Maybe it was this year or last year. And they want to have more of that rivalry kind of game. Are you guys, do you feel the league's in a good spot? And you're in a good spot with your rivals, or would you like to see maybe 1 more game or 2 more games a year versus interdivision against your rivals?
Yeah, I think for the certainly the competition committee with the league, we tied in with them and making sure that we look at things holistically and make sure that the business is healthy. Yes, the rivalry games are phenomenal, but in Southern California, as you know, everybody's from somewhere here. And so one of the things that does really resonate with folks is that they will at least be able to see their team from wherever they are from at least once in your building. And so that has been something that we have seen a real desire for in Southern California. There's so many people here from the Midwest. So it's an interesting melting pot that we have here, because every time we play the Blackhawks or the Rangers or the Bruins or whatever, you'd be amazed that the folks here, they're not traveling from these places to come here. They live here. They're in our communities. They want to see that. So I would love to see those rivalry games. I don't want to do them at the expense of being able to see every team in your building at least once. So it's really trying to find that balance, because I think the league is so great, and the stars in this league today, we want to showcase them. So for wherever the Connor McDavids and maybe the generational player of tomorrow, the Connor Bedard, or wherever he ends up, got my fingers crossed. But we want to make sure that those talents come through our building every single season. People want to see them. People want to know what it's like to watch Sidney Crosby live. And so yes, maybe I'm not really answering your question here very well, but yes, I do believe that there's that thirst for those rivalry games. We love it when we play the Kings. It helps the Southern California marketplace when these two teams are both in playoff positions and healthy and going at it. And we intend to pull our weight here on that very, very shortly. But also we can't discount the Southern California landscape and just where everybody's from and how important it is for them to see their team and see the stars of the league live. So
just to follow up on that one, do you think then that if there was, say, I know 82 is a lot of games, do you think then that maybe I always hear that the league would operate a little bit better at 84? Do you see then, as the competition committee look at it and go, yeah, we'd love to see Sidney Crosby come through Vegas? Absolutely. I don't disagree with that at all. But if they put 2 more games in there, maybe shorten the preseason a bit, then maybe you can get the Kings one more time, or if San Jose comes in, or maybe you guys got on a heater. Edmonton always draws well. Do you see there being an appetite to maybe expanding the schedule, shortening the preseason just a touch and expanding the schedule? Or do you think everything's in a pretty good spot right now with games?
Yeah, you know what? I will say this. I do think it's in a pretty good spot. The one thing about Gary Bettman in the league, though, that I've always liked is that they're not rigid. They will look at everything in relation to the league and its growth. So if there's a real appetite for that, I think that it will be looked at you do have to look when you start messing with the number of games, you have a lot of the record books and those type of things and those things that are meaningful to a lot of people and whatnot. But that being said, looking at everything as a holistic product, I think the league has done a really good job over the years in making sure that they have, through their competition committee, looking at, hey, where is the growth of our league? What is it that is going to move us forward and make us sustainable on a long-term basis? So I think there is at least a discussion for what you spoke of, hey, if we want to have our cake and eat it too, like have everybody coming in through your building at least once, but also lean in a little bit heavier to those rivalries that are right in your backyard. I think that's certainly something that Gary and the competition committee has always been open and available to talk through. So.
Right on.
I'm going to go a completely different way. Here's some questions for you.
Okay.
What is the best snack in your guys' building?
Best snack in our building. I will say our food and beverage division here is extraordinary. We run our own food and beverage.
You guys don't have a bunch of.
We don't have a third party vendor that comes in and owns and operates this ever. We do it ourselves in house, and I give them a lot of credit. They are a great group, and they work so hard on the menus and whatnot. So for me, Ian, they make their own potato chips and they make this pimento cheese dip, and it is ridiculous how much of this dip that I can take down over 3 periods. It's truly unhealthy, and when I get into a spot where you don't always get to sit in one spot and watch the game. You want to make sure that you're out and seeing people and what's going on in other areas, whatnot. But when you get in a spot where you can sit and maybe watch a period, and I look over and I see that stuff there, I honestly like, oh no, it's pretty tough. So for me, anytime that those guys put that in front of me, it's.
See, that's what you want to hear, that you eat something at the building and you enjoy it, and the smile you had on it was awesome. Okay, we're going to continue on. What's your favorite swag that you guys sell?
I think we run our own retail division as well, and I think they do a phenomenal job of bringing in of high quality. I'm a big sweatshirt guy. I love the hoodies, and I love that stuff. Where it's understated, but is certainly representative of your fandom a little bit too. So I think they do a great job of making sure that we have a lifestyle option in the way of hoodies and shirts and stuff like that. So they do a terrific job.
I'm a big fan of the blacked out jersey or the sweater or the
okay.
hat. Yeah, so I'm a big fan of that. Yeah, that's good. Okay, and if you were going to a game at the Honda Center and you aren't a season ticket holder, where would you park?
Where would I park?
Yes.
I think we have a pretty good parking system here, where we can empty our building
Very well, yes.
in 25 minutes. So it goes pretty well. But if I would park, it's funny that you asked this question, because we're literally breaking ground and we're starting on the parking, and we're starting to look at building our new parking structures and whatever. So I'm going to take it as you said that this past season, and I think you could park. I would park myself what's called lot 4 for us, and it's easy access right outside the back of the building, and I think you can get out of there in probably 10 minutes, no problem at all. That's where I would go.
If you didn't park in one of your lots, where would you park?
If I didn't park in one of my lots?
Yeah. Like I'm curious, because I want to know if you say that restaurant across the street.
Oh, JT Schmidt's?
Yeah, it seems like that's the most coveted parking in all of Ducks fandom.
You know what? It's a good spot because you can take in a nice meal and then just walk right across the street. But I'm right over there.
I wouldn't want to do that.
What's that?
Don't eat while you're there. You want to go across and have that pimento dip. That's what you want to do.
You know, you can do that. You can do that as well. It's all options or whatever. So the good part is we run that restaurant, Ian. So I can give that a little.
Oh, that's your guys' restaurant too.
when you have a $4 billion district, you own a lot of land around the building. But there's 100 acres around this building that Henry has bought, and so we're welcoming you wherever you go.
Hey, Aaron, I know parking's riveting to talk about. I'm so glad we had you on to talk about it. A couple questions, and then we gotta let you go. But number one, what kind of during the game, and we all turn into fans when we're watching. I'm getting chirped, I know. But when we watch the game, what kind of fan are you? Are you kind of walk back and forth? Do you kind of just sit there and watch it? Do you discuss what's going on with the people next to you? How do you how do you ebb and flow during a game? Are you just poker faced?
You know what? I'm certainly I'm probably right down the middle. I am not just pure poker faced. I certainly am excited. I want to be part of the experience. I want to feel what other people feel when they watch our team. It's impossible for me to not at least bend somebody's ear about what's going on here, or what you saw there, or maybe this should have been done there, or how great was that was done there. So I just love taking it in. You know, sometimes you'll get a busy evening where you don't actually get to sit and watch as much as you want to, but when you do, I like to be a fan. I like to root for our team. I like to have people know that we're Ducks, and we're behind our team 100% all the way through. And I think when people can see that the management group is bought in and is experiencing it like the fans will, I think that they can kind of start to relate, and we can start to relate on what are those experiences and what needs to be changed to make it a better location, a better place to see a game.
My last one for you is, what is the next step? We're headed in the right direction with the Ducks. What is the next step from where you see it? Like, if we're doing this next year, or it doesn't, just tell me what that looks like to you. Like, you're heading in the right direction when this starts happening, or you see this. What are you looking for out of the team as they get into camp in October or September and October, and then come into next year?
Yeah, you know what? Respectfully, I probably leave that to Pat more than me. Okay. When you talk about long term and what he wants to see out of the team, but we do talk a lot, and I feel like there are many different areas that he wants to kind of lean into and make sure that. But at the end of the day, if your scoring is down, and I think it was a little bit, I think we'd like to see a little bit more proficiency in putting the puck in the net, and that works. Special teams plays into that to make sure that the power play is where it needs to be and whatnot. So I think if there's a little bit of when we start seeing the lamp going on a little bit more, I think that will start to lead us in the right direction, and that's going to take pressure off the defense, right? If we can get a little bit more offensive zone time, I feel like we have a lot of talent on this roster. We have a lot of young guys coming up. Just looking at some of the performance in some of our D in the junior programs, it bodes well for the future. But at the end of the day, you got to spend some time in the offensive zone and make sure you can take some pressure off the guys that are working hard in the D zone. So I would put elevate the scoring just a little bit.
Okay,
nice. Like it, Pat Verbeek. He's definitely great, but let's be honest, he's no Jesse Bryson. Jesse's great. Yes. I had to make sure we got that. Jesse's fantastic. I like, it's because of employees like her that you guys have such a great product, and you should, yeah, it's pretty cool. And I know you guys started out together, so I had to bring it up. No, she is terrific. And when we talked about that dedication to community, her and her department, they do a phenomenal job in making sure that we're everywhere, and we're again using that platform
do good things in the community and change the lives. That's very important to our ownership. It's very important to our team as well. If you play for this team, you know that you're going to be leaning into that.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Aaron. Thanks for dropping by. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations on everything, and fingers crossed for you tonight.
Yes.
We hope that ping pong ball drops for you. So
I hope so too.
Have a great day,
guys.
Thanks,
Take
Aaron.
care. See ya. Take care.
That was fantastic. Thank you, Aaron, for dropping by. We got to wrap it. What's that?
I thank Aaron. Yeah, Aaron was awesome. And thanks for asking Aaron about the parking. I think a lot of people are really wondering about that. Like when you get the president of the hockey club on, the organization, El Presidente, and hey, you know what? I'm going to ask him about parking.
Yeah, but you know what's great about that question? It turns out where I think it's just a family that's been running a joint for many, many years, making extra money off of parking, at their restaurant. Boom, they own it.
I love, and that, hey, we're going to go to a Ducks game next year. We're going to park in lot 4. I love that he gave an answer for it. That was awesome. So
he's great. He's great. And I love it. We got to try that. I really do think if you're a hockey fan and instead of buying seasons, do a hockey trip, spend the money and go see a bunch of other buildings. They're all so different. They all have a different energy and they're all like fantastic. And you could do a trip to Southern California with your family, see a couple hockey games, go to Disneyland, and maybe go to Vegas and Phoenix as well. Boom. That's 4 rinks. That's great. That's hockey fandom.
Well, I guess Staples and are not Crypto and T-Mobile are somewhat similar, but Honda and then Arizona's building are totally different. But yeah, you're right across from Disney there. You got great access. What I really liked that Aaron talked about was the guest experience. I think that is the kind of the tonic, if you will, for them. Like they're trying to build this great experience to the game, but I think that resonates throughout your whole organization. I think it resonates for all the people that work for the organization, but it also resonates with the players. Treat everybody like guest is such a good word. Back in the day, back when I got into the crazy airline business, there was a company I worked for called Virgin America, and they were guests. All the people that flew in the airplanes were guests. They were not passengers or clientele or whatever you want. They were guests. And I think the way Anaheim's going, and they're building it back up, and they're going to get a top 3 pick. And you know what? After today, I think Anaheim getting to see Aaron and talk about what they're doing, Anaheim's going to gain fans and people that are going to want to see them do well. We learned a lot about the organization today, and they got a lot of really good things going on there. And they're in the Pacific Division. It's going to be tough, right, over the next couple of years, but they're going to have the young guys to get going, and hopefully they can start to rope some of these other teams in and get back to where they were at one time.
Absolutely. So good. So good. Thanks
it was awesome. There. So,
hey, what do you think of I don't know if you watched any, because you were up in Canada. Did you watch any of the games on TNT?
No, I didn't see it. So I was up in Canada visiting family, and I saw everything on what?
And Trevor visiting family.
Oh yeah, Trev. I had coffee with Trevor. It's funny. A lot of names came up, but I'm not sure yours did. He's like, Lord Bag. So we can't go anywhere without talking to you. But so I watched CBC or Sportsnet up there. So it's just a total different. They do a lot of similar things, but just the way they look at the game is a lot different, and the way they broadcast it. So it's kind of fun to get back up there and watch it again.
Well, the reason
I bring it up is no, I didn't see TNT.
The reason I bring it up is Talk It was back on.
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember a coach that's working for a team being a pundit.
You know what? You'll have that once in a while where a guy will come on, I think, at the end of the season. But yeah, most of the time it's someone looking for a job, or someone that, is obviously out of a job, because you got to be really careful what you say. Because first of all, you're going to see those teams next year. But second, you could be considered tampering in some situations. But I thought the show was unbelievable. Talk it. They've tried a lot of guys on that panel, and the guy
He's
that's
so good.
really growing on me is Colby Armstrong. I think Colby Armstrong, because he does a little bit of Sportsnet, CBC, and he does some stuff in the States. I think he's hilarious.
Very dry.
You know what? He's very, did you say dry?
Yeah.
Dry. Yeah, he's funny. And so they're getting there. I mean, I think they had definitely a hole in their lineup when Talk left, but they seem to be kind of getting back. So what did Talk have to say? Was he pretty mellow, or was he
He's
back
pretty
to
mellow?
the-
He's pretty safe, but he did call out the one time that made me laugh was when Jersey was winning. He said Biz said that just wrap it up. Jersey's got this, and he goes, "Oh, I guess we should just stop airing the game then. Nobody need to watch." He said nobody needs to watch. Turn off your TV, which freaks broadcasters out when somebody says that. Instantly, everybody's like, no, don't turn off your TV. That's what pays their bills. Don't turn off your TV.
And you know what? Biz is pretty funny, but you can tell he's got so much respect for Talk, and he's probably scared of Talk too, right? Because Talk still gets that look once in a while, and he's a tough dude. So, but yes, I didn't see him.
He looks like Tiger Williams now.
Does he?
Yeah, Tiger Williams and him look the same, and neither one of those guys you want to talk to like that. Look crazy. All right, let's do some shout outs and get out.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so last week I shanked it in the woods. My mom's birthday was the 3rd. We did the show on the 2nd, and I didn't say happy birthday to my mom because I am a goof. So shout out to my mom, who got flowers from me 2 days after her birthday because I'm such a loser. Anyways, I said to my mom, I said, did we not celebrate birthdays, or am I on the spectrum? Because I don't know, birthdays do not seem to affect me at all. And I always just shank it on birthdays. Everybody else enjoys birthdays. I'm like, oh yeah. So anyways, shout out to I know.
You know what? Don't be so hard on yourself. Like, don't be so hard on yourself, really. I mean, there is one birthday, and yeah, I mean, that was a faux pas, no question. But Robin, she'll shake it off. She's awesome. So happy birthday, Robin. There's one birthday you never forget, though, because it's being planned for like 8 months ahead of time. That's Cavs.
Yeah. Well, that's a month. That's a whole month. I just have to think January.
Yeah, exactly. Like it is New Year's Eve. Ian's not getting ready to celebrate the New Year. He's making sure he's got Cab's birthday celebration set. So it's funny.
Well, fireworks for her. What's your month?
Oh, Cab's birthday is always a blast. But while we're on the birthday thing, I got 2 shout outs this week. So we're on birthdays. One is Randy Morton, our old friend Randy, right?
Randy.
Happy birthday, Randy.
Happy birthday, Randy.
He said now he's going back in age, so he's going back by 2s every year. So I think that puts him in his late 40s somewhere. And then my Uncle Jim, who is a veteran, served in the military up in Canada for years. And so I want to wish a happy birthday to him, because all the people who serve in the US and Canada, we need to hold them in the highest esteem. And it's his birthday. I get to spend some time with him this week, and that was
birthday, Uncle Jim.
Awesome. So Uncle Jim, and of course I better say shout out to my Aunt Bev too, so she doesn't get sour. But yeah, so 2 big birthdays this week, along with Robbins, who was the top of the podium. Love to all.
Love to all. And by the way, make sure whenever you say vet, always say veteran. Don't just say vet, because people will bring their sick animals to those people and they can't help it. Love to all.